Hey everybody, it's BradMontgomery.com. We're talking about burnout and educators. How do we prevent it? How do we handle it? Well, I'm going to give you 4 tips. This is the third of a video series. Today we're talking about social and emotional support. So let's talk about what that means. Social and emotional support is under the umbrella of positive psychology. Mostly we're talking about taking the time and making the effort to be of service to others and make other people feel like we have their back. It's what you do already. It's just doing it strategically. We're talking about making sure people feel seen and heard, making sure no one feels like a number. No one wants to be teacher number 42 or bus driver number 7. No one wants to be, administrator number 4. You want to be you. You want people to see you for all the amazing and significant things you are. So let's talk about how we can use this concept as a tool to manage burnout, especially for people in education. And by the way, first thing I can say is, yeah, it's real. Burnout is real. You're not crazy. You're not alone. As I speak for in-services and education conferences all across the country, and I'm telling you, well, what does it for me is I just say, raise your hand if you thought about quitting in the past year. And sometimes they're shy at first, but eventually most of the hands are up. And then I say, leave your hand up if you've talked to a financial advisor to talk to them about when you can quit. Still a number of hands are going up. That doesn't mean teachers and educators are quitters. It just means it's hard. You have a tough job. So let's go through 4 tips that will help you. Now, these are not magic bullets. If I told you these 4 tips or hacks are going to change your life, you'd be a little skeptical and you'd be right. But these 4 tips are very straightforward and very commonsensical, but importantly, they are based in science. This isn't glitter and lollipops and unicorns. This is stuff that has been highly studied and it works. So easy, common sense, and it works. Let's get started. First one, lean on your people. You need a network. So your network could mean other educators. It could be people at home. It could be your buddies. It could be that one person you fish with and don't talk too much, but you kind of enjoy being together. I don't know. Those are your people. You need to lean on them. So what does that mean? It can be incredibly healthful to talk to somebody and say, I am really struggling at work. And they go, oh yeah, what's going on? Well, in a nutshell, I'm feeling burnt out. And give them as much as you can. It sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But I'm telling you, it's powerful. Let's ask Lindsay. Lindsay's one of my best friends. When I call Lindsay for a beer, both of us feel better because we both get to say, like, this is making me crazy. Oh, that sounds horrible. What else? And that? No way. Both of us walk out of there feeling like we don't need therapy. All right, so who are your peeps? It could be the other teacher. It could be the other teacher that was hired the same year as you. It could be the other administrator. I don't know. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your buddy. Doesn't matter. But be strategic and tactical about being with these people and saying, you know what? It would really help me if I could tell you about what I'm going through at work. Can we do some of that? And of course they're going to do it. Okay. All right. So the second thing we're going to talk about is creating a work culture. So typically we think our leaders are the ones responsible for a work culture. And they're not wrong. Leaders, I'm talking to you. But if you are not the principal, if you're not the superintendent, if you are a new hire, don't underestimate your ability to influence the work culture. I can't tell you how many times in my travels as a speaker, when I say, who is the person who's sort of like the beacon of joy around here? And they all point to the person who is not the principal, who's not the assistant principal. They talk to somebody who's like the art teacher or whatever, and they're like, this person, I'm telling you, is just a joy to be around and brings our entire building up. So, what does that mean? How do you do that? Well, one very specific way to help build a work culture is to have check-ins with people. So don't overthink this. Check-ins just means you're walking up with people and say, like, how you doing? The difference is you need to let them know you're really asking. So when we say, hey, what's up? They're going to go, not much. You need to let them know you care. So you're like, no, I'm asking you, how's it going? This is a tough job. Are you doing okay? Or, you've got an extra session of history this semester. How's that going? Or you haven't been at this job that long and this tends to be the crazy time of year. How are you holding up? Doing that for another person is such a gift to them. You are going to help them feel better. You're going to make them feel less stressed and less overwhelmed. You're going to help them with their burnout. But here's the beautiful side effect. Wait for it because it's cool. The beautiful side effect is that the very act of caring for and building up others makes you better. I know. Prove it to yourself. Next time you're having a crappy day, invest in making somebody else's day better and see what it does to your crappy day. The science tells you, and common sense will prove it. If you help other people, it just makes you better. This means for you, be that person for other people. Send somebody a text. Check in with them in person. Meet them, say like, I need you to come to school 15 minutes early because we're going to spend 15 minutes in your room with a cup of coffee, you and me. Or after school or whatever. Or, after the kids are gone or whatever, we're going to go have a beer. Because we're going to talk about stuff and you're going to be just able to say, how are you? All right, here's the story that really hammers that for me. I had a tough time in the pandemic. I have this dream job where I travel around the country talking to government groups and business groups about the power of positivity and in particular encouragement. And I love this job. And of course, during the pandemic, I was shut down. Everyone has their own story. I know you've got one. That's mine. I was not handling it well. And what turned me around was I started volunteering at a food bank. So once and twice and 3 times a week, I would go work for a food bank, being of service to people who were having a brutal time, only they didn't have food. And that helped me. So those people thought that I was being of service to them. The people who ran the food bank thought that I was being of service to the organization. In many ways, I was just taking care of myself. In this really touching exchange, not that long ago, like a year ago, I was talking to the CEO of the food bank, and she was very kind to me and said, "Oh, you were fun, and you were great with the volunteers, and you really made a difference." And she was complimenting me, and it was very flattering. But she didn't get it. And I said, "No, Christina, you don't understand. That saved me." And she laughed, like, "No, I'm telling you, I was really struggling, and having that opportunity to work with you and be in service to others saved me." It's touching. So if you're dealing with burnout, find somebody else who's burning out and make their day better. I'm telling you, it is like a magic trick. This is the low-hanging fruit of improving your world if you're dealing with burnout as an educator. All right, tip number 3. We're killing it. Ask for help. If you're really struggling, ask for help. This is not a time to be white knuckle it and just hold on. I'm telling you, this makes you strong. This makes you brave. This makes you important. This makes you significant. You become a role model when you ask for help. So help could mean something easy like, I am just really overwhelmed right now. I got too many things going on and I'm coaching and I don't have time to get these papers graded. When you ask for help, 2 things are going to happen. You might actually get tactical relief from the people you're asking help from. Maybe someone will help you do some of the grading. Maybe someone will help be an assistant coach for a day so you can have a little break. I don't know. But for darn sure, asking for help and saying, you know what, I'm just overwhelmed and I just need someone to know and care. This gives other people in your life a chance to offer social and emotional support to you. And I just told you that it's powerful to give. That doesn't mean it's not powerful to receive. Don't be afraid to ask on your peers, your coworkers, the department chair, the administrators. Let them, if you are struggling, let them know. I can tell you this, your administrators don't want you to leave. They don't want you to get burnt out and quit. They want you to be at your best. And those kids you serve deserve to have you be at their best. Be at your best. And so, be brave. Ask for help. Maybe it's just you call a friend and say, I need you to meet for meet me for a beer. I just need some FaceTime with you and need to tell you a little bit about what's going on at work because I'm just overwhelmed. And then they can make cooing noises and you both are going to leave feeling better. All right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. What I like to remind myself when I struggle asking for help is just to remember I'm a role model. People look to me because I'm semi-public. But when I go to a friend and I say, I'm really struggling, I need some help, 100% of the time, they are there and they say, great, I'm here for you. And then that also opens the door for them to come back to me when they need help. Powerful thing. All right, the final tip. We're going to talk about the theory of small wins because the final tip is celebrate your wins. So education is a long game. I mean, you're taking kids from, age 5 or whatever through age 18 and trying to turn them into citizens of consequence. That's a long job, isn't it? And of course, the school year is long. Any given semester is long. Even quarter is long. The week is long. The period is long. So you got to start looking for small wins. It turns out when we find something small that's really cool, like, hey, how about that? That kid who's really a pain in the neck, they were quiet today. Woo! Or how about this kid that sometimes struggles? When I asked a question, they were right on it. Woo! Or maybe, hey, I'm doing some grading and this kid has horrible handwriting, but how about this? He took some time. Woo! Maybe it's small things like I got to the end of that session or that section on American history like that and no one lit on fire. Like, meaning it was sort of not a significant day, but you got through it. Yay, good for you. Maybe it's, a lesson plan I had to put together at 11 p.m. last night. I was worried that it was going to be horrible, but it was pretty good. Or I was less horrible than I thought. Woo, get it? Here's the reason why this is so important. It kind of sounds like I'm joking. But by having these little small wins, first you have to notice them, then you have to label them. You have to say, oh, that's one of them. That's a win. It starts to train your brain to look for positive things all through your day. And it becomes a habit, and that helps you with burnout. Typically, we humans do the opposite. We label like, oh, great, of course that kid wasn't ready. Oh, of course he forgot his pencil. Oh, great, she's doing it again. She always does it. She got her phone out. Oh, great, my administration's not supporting me again. Oh, great, whatever. Once we start doing the opposite, labeling all the awful things that happen all day, we're training our brain to look for that, and that's what we notice. You want to be careful to what you're training your brain to do. Are you looking for positivity, or are you training to look for negativity? Because clearly there's the right and wrong answer to that, isn't there? If you're burnt out, ask yourself, am I, instead of looking for wins, am I looking for losses? Am I looking for things that are annoying? My gut is you're like the rest of us and you do it too much, and maybe you could temper it. The theory of small wins. So I'm going to tell you a story about Disneyland. They know about small wins. So I took my family to Disneyland, and we're trying to decide if we should get in this line, and we look at the line, and it's that maze thing that goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And we think, okay, that looks manageable. So we get in that line, and we get all the way through it, and we're right at the end of the line, and we're about to get in, right? And we turn in the corner, it's another line with another maze that goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And we're like, oh, we made it. We're down. Now we're in, and we turn the corner. We're in another room with another line, another maze. So why does Disneyland do that? They don't do anything by accident. They do it because they're trying to give us little wins. They don't want us to feel overwhelmed. Oh, we got it through this other room, and now we're in a different place, and it looks different. Oh, look, now this place is decorated. They're giving us ways to celebrate. Otherwise, it's just too exhausting. We never would have got through that first line if it was the entire line. But by breaking into threes and sort of giving us a chance to celebrate along the way, it was manageable, and we have fun, and we didn't leave Disneyland. We can use this technique for ourselves. Look for things that make you say, all right, that's one of them. Good day. All right, that's your fourth tip. You've got this. I know it's hard. I don't mean to be flip with some of these pretty straightforward, commonsensical answers. Because again, I want to remind you they're based in science, and this is studied a lot. And I know that it's complicated and you have a limited amount of power, but I'm telling you, it's worth it and you're good at it. Your building needs you, your team needs you, those kids need you, your community needs you. You're in an important job. And so I challenge you, next time you're really burnt out and just struggling, go through these tips, lean on people, ask for some help, think about which wins you had that day. Are you doing something to help build other people up? But then at the end, remind yourself you have a very important job that's very difficult and you're doing really well. You've got this. If your school or district or association would benefit by someone like me who can come in and talk about using positivity as a strategy for educators and the rest of the planet, I'd love to be your guy. Reach me at bradmontgomery.com. I'd love to talk to you and your group. I'd love to do it in a funny way that makes them laugh. But most importantly, let's make sure we can give them specific strategies and action steps so they walk out the door feeling less overwhelmed, less exhausted, and less burnt out. Brad Montgomery, bradmontgomery.com. Thanks, everybody.